Raymond Williams' Reading and Criticism explores the relationship between literary reading and critical practice, presenting ideas central to cultural and literary theory. Williams examines the act of reading not just as a passive experience, but as an interpretive and critical engagement. The text reflects his belief that literature is deeply embedded in society, culture, and politics, and that readers are participants in shaping meaning through their interpretive responses. His ideas contribute to the broader discourse of literary criticism, emphasizing that texts are not isolated entities, but parts of a dynamic cultural process. Williams challenges traditional notions of literary appreciation that treat texts as objects to be analyzed for their intrinsic aesthetic value. For him, literary works are not static artifacts. They belong to social processes and histories that influence both their creation and reception. The critical act, therefore, must involve recognizing these contextual elements. Williams argues that criticism should not remain confined to formalistic or purely aesthetic analyses, but should engage with the historical, cultural, and ideological frameworks surrounding texts. In this way, he seeks to extend the boundaries of criticism beyond the established canon and toward a more inclusive, socially aware practice. Williams emphasizes that reading is never a neutral activity. Every reader brings to the text their own experiences, biases, and cultural frameworks, which shape their understanding. This personal engagement implies that meaning is produced by the text and its reader, rather than being something fixed or inherent in the text alone. He critiques the elitism often found in traditional literary criticism, where critics assume authority over interpretation, creating a hierarchy between the critic and the general reader. Instead, Williams argues for democratizing the critical process by encouraging individual and diverse interpretations, making room for a variety of voices and perspectives. The relationship between literature and ideology forms another crucial part of Williams' discussion. He challenges the notion that literature exists in a realm above or separate from ideological forces. Instead, he views literature as both the product of ideology and a space where ideology is contested and reshaped. This understanding of the interaction between literature and ideology allows Williams to explore how texts can both reflect dominant social values and provide the means for resistance or alternative viewpoints. In this sense, reading becomes a form of critical engagement, where the reader can uncover underlying assumptions within texts and assess their relevance and impact. Williams also critiques certain forms of literary criticism that focus excessively on textual formalism, such as new criticism. He acknowledges the importance of close reading, but argues that it must be complemented by attention to the socio-historical context of literary works. For Williams, focusing solely on the internal elements of a text, such as symbolism, narrative structure, and imagery, risks detaching the text from the conditions of its production and reception. Instead, he advocates for an approach that situates literary works within their social and historical moments, thus connecting literary criticism to broader cultural analysis. In this broader framework, Williams also questions the division between high and low culture. He resists the tendency of traditional criticism to privilege canonical works, while dismissing popular or mass literature. For Williams, the distinction between high and low culture is an artificial construct that reflects social divisions rather than inherent qualities of the texts. He argues that popular literature, like canonical texts, carries significant cultural meanings and should be analyzed with the same critical rigor. This inclusive approach opens the door for a more comprehensive understanding of literature, one that accounts for diverse forms of expression and the social contexts they engage with. Williams' discussion also touches upon the educational function of literary criticism. He believes that criticism plays a crucial role in shaping cultural awareness and fostering critical thinking. However, he warns against treating criticism as a specialized discipline, accessible only to a select few. Instead, he sees it as a practice that should be encouraged among all readers. In this way, criticism becomes a means of empowering individuals to interpret the world around them and participate actively in cultural discourse. This view aligns with Williams' broader political commitment to democratizing knowledge and fostering critical awareness within society. The act of reading, in Williams' view, is deeply intertwined with the practice of criticism. He suggests that every act of reading involves an element of interpretation and judgment, making criticism an integral part of the reading experience. This perspective challenges the conventional separation between reading for pleasure and reading critically, suggesting instead that the two are interconnected. For Williams, to read is to engage critically with the text, to question and reflect on its meanings, and to situate it within a broader cultural and ideological framework.